Well, here we are. The final day of Othercon 2020, or Othercon 0, Othercon 1, whatever it ends up being called. It has been one heck of a ride, and I'm not ready for it to be over. In fact, I want to go. I want to make panels. I want to start doing stuff right now myself. But of course, we all got to wait till next year, and hopefully things turn out just as good, if not better, than this year. This year, it's one of those. It could have gone better, but it was outstanding on its own, and I think for a first convention for a community, this was extremely successful. I'm even going to say this was way more successful than the Conference Zero, which was the first ever furry convention. Although that was 30 years ago, and times have changed quite a bit. But what do we have? Like somewhere at least 300 attendees. A pretty big turnout. So thankfully, I did actually sleep extremely well last night, although I was up again pretty late. And I actually woke up in the middle, at the very, very end of Korea's art stream. And I unfortunately missed most of the last panel hosted by the House of Chimera's. I'm going to watch that and a bunch of the other ones once they get uploaded. I asked in the closing of the con today, and they said it's going to happen. They're going to be uploaded later this week. So once they do, I'm going to be merging them into my Othercon 2020 playlist. I am going to be just putting my specific videos in a new section on the homepage of my channel called Otherkin/Therian. It's the third list from the top. It goes furry history, discussion, Otherkin Therian, because I have decided I am going to be making content relating to that community on this channel. I have a couple ideas. I don't have a whole lot though, although I do have a lot of ideas. I do have a lot more videos I'm going to be making about this con even now that it's over. Mostly about, once I get a hold of the other panels and I can look through them, kind of get my thoughts on them like I have been doing briefly in these ones. And I might also talk about my panel ideas for next year, some of the announcements that were made and my thoughts on them. I'm going to briefly touch on them later in this video, but I also want to be able to just go and kind of look at what we know for next year and give some thoughts and maybe some opinions, reviews, insights, etc. On just a bunch of feedback, like a post-con feedback report, I guess. So I did end up skipping Nokun and Null's panel on non-human identity. I do plan to rewatch that at some point, hopefully. And Wolfquest. I was gonna say the chairman, but as somebody put, I think chair dog fits better. Chair dog. So the chair dog of the convention, Dinocade, was streaming on his Twitch for 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken, a game called Wolfquest. Now, this game came out in 2016. It looks like a really fun game. I might actually give it a shot at some point. I wonder if that'd be interesting content for people inside the community. I'm curious, are there any really good Therian video games you might want to see me play? Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested. I don't normally do a whole lot of gaming on this channel, but I'm always open to it. But basically, the game's about living in the Yellowstone as a wolf, and your goal is to hunt for food, find a mate, make a long journey, and then raise a family. And I don't know. I gotta look at how long the kind of time frame. It doesn't seem like it'd be a terribly long game, but I don't know. Deltarune was only 4 or 5 hours, and that game felt like 8, in my opinion, when I first played it. So, the next panel I attended was My Gender is a Dog, or something along those lines. It was hosted by Cinnamon and Dog with Glasses, and this was the big one for today that I attended. This was the big panel. I was drawn into this one, sucked into it. It's not extremely applicable to me, but it's very interesting content. Now, both of the hosts, they talked about a lot of different things, and unfortunately, so they had this whole presentation that they were streaming, and unfortunately, I wanted to watch it, but the maximum number of viewers on the stream had been reached, I guess. I don't know if they were able to set a limit or if that's a hard Discord limit. I don't usually break that kind of limit when I'm streaming on Discord, so it's not something I'm totally familiar with. But thankfully, as the panel went on, they did start posting the panel slides inside the chat, or at least I noticed they were. So I was able to follow along a lot better. But they talked a good amount about early life acceptance and how kind of like the people who discover, like, who have their discovery or whatever in the earlier years of their life, it's probably gonna become more ingrained, and they'll have an easier time adapting to it in the earlier years of their life, because it's kind of like when you're a child and you're learning more, and you learn best when you're a child. If you pick up a skill when you're a child, it's going to stick with you a lot easier than if you learn something as an adult. And I do think that's interesting, because I mean, one of the things I just have to flat out say, I don't want to use turnover, but I get that feeling that, or the notice that a lot of the people in this community stay in this community for a long time, if not for life. This is completely different from the furry community, where if you're older than 30 years old, then you're considered a gray muzzle. Most of the people in that community are anywhere between the age of 16 and 20, or 16 and 30. That's the most common age range, because a lot of people end up leaving the fandom. But when it comes to the Therian community, I mean, it might be a little bit of bias, but the age diversity, and I think I said this yesterday, but there was just a huge amount of age diversity at this convention. It was something I was not expecting and really caught me off guard. And it was so cool because I didn't even realize, but it's like people just start saying, oh yeah, I'm 30 years old, I'm 20 something. Personally, I'm 20. I'm kind of, breaking into that, I don't know. I'm breaking into that middle ground. In a few years, I'll be at the middle point of where most furries are. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in the furry community for the rest of my life. I shouldn't be saying this because it's way too early, but if things go the way they are, I know I'm going to be a Therian for the rest of my life. That's not really something you leave. But actually, that's even a really weird way to put it. But now that I've gotten engaged with the community, I'm not sure I'm going to drop it either. There's a chance. There was some people that have I haven't been involved with the community in 7 years. I've taken a break. That might happen to me, but I kind of don't think so. When I get into a community that I can really connect with, I kind of stick with it. So far, the only ones I can really pinpoint is mostly furry and kind of this one, but I guess also a little bit Minecraft Online, which those of you who don't know, it's the oldest survival server, and it's a very small, little, tight-knit community, and I've been involved with that server for 4 years. Technically not longer, but just a little bit shorter. A few months. I got involved a few months after I got involved with furry back in 2016. Furry was because furry was April 2nd, 2016. I joined MCO on July 4th, 2016. That was the real close together, and yeah. Although, to be honest, MCO is nothing quite like furry, or I guess what I'm starting to grow to with the Othercon Therian community. MCO is just kind of this weird entity. It's in that group, but at the same time, it's not like a deep personal thing. It's more like just a passion that I've spent so much time invested in. All right, getting back on track, though, the next big thing they talked about was Dysphoria versus Euphoria, and this really stole the show for me. This is something that my brain never even thought about, never even registered in my 2 years that I've spent on my own with my therianthropy. So their whole point was focusing on your dysphoria is kind of like focusing on what makes your life bad or what makes you stand out. But if you focus on what gives you euphoria, it's kind of like focusing on what makes your life good. So like dysphoria is, I don't know, I'm not, my dysphoria might be my dysphoria with humanity. I'm not human. I'm not in the body I'm in, but euphoria is in my case, I'm a cat. When I start to embrace that, I get euphoria. So it's like looking at the glass half full instead of the glass half empty, except, way drawn out, probably for like your lifetime. And it's very like, it's so on the nose, but it surprisingly, I don't know why that went right over my head. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe I've been doing it subconsciously, but I never really realized or recognized the fact that it's like, maybe I'm so on this side of the fence, I'm so on this side of the fence trying to understand the other side of the fence when I could kind of just spend more time on the other side of the fence. I'm spending so much time on like the disconnect that I'm not thinking about the connect, if that makes any sense. And I'm curious to see if anybody else's, what other people had their thoughts on what other people felt after that little panel, because that was something that really caught my attention. And then they said, there's people that might be neither. Now I can't relate to this, but they're like, if you don't experience either of these things, maybe you're agender. I don't know. They're like, it's something that some agender people experience. They just don't experience either. Now I know my example was bringing dysphoria and euphoria with my therianthropy as a whole, but I think the main focus was just based on gender and stuff. I don't know. My head hurts. I'm interpreting it my own way. That's the whole point, I think. But and one thing that Cinnamon also mentioned is that really actually made them happy and gave them a little bit of euphoria is when people make gender mistakes. If you make a gender mistake, it's okay. And so when I came in here with a couple of misconceptions, I'm always open-minded, but if I have heard misconceptions, I always keep them in mind, either to break them or to confirm them. And one of them that I had was that people can be real sticklers sometimes if you just on one scenario or on a couple scenarios mispronounce their gender. And I know I've done that I know I've probably made a mistake using pronouns in these videos, and I think that's a little bit acceptable because, again, I'm brand new. I don't know everybody yet. It's something you learn over time. But people aren't huge sticklers if you make a mistake. In fact, they said as long as if you just fix it right after, and in some scenarios that's very easy. If you have prior knowledge, or on Discord, if you can click on them and see, and you fix it, then it's not a big deal. No, don't go like, oh, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. I won't do it again. Like, don't make it a big deal. But that's okay. And in their case, that actually makes them happier. That gave them a little bit of like, oh, these people are trying. They're actually doing their best. They're realizing their mistake, and they're making me feel more comfortable. I don't know. Sometimes this is why I script my videos. Most of my videos are gonna be scripted from here on out. It's kind of just like these review panels. I don't want to script them because I kind of want my rambling thoughts, because that way I don't feel filtered, so like reviews and stuff are probably going to be unscripted, but when I start making like other content, I will be scripting it at least to a good extent. Maybe not to the extent of my furry history and discussion videos, but to a much more extent than I currently am. So, or as time goes on, I might become better with just free reining it and improvising. I gotta learn to stop repeating myself, stop stuttering, and stop not knowing what I'm gonna say. You gotta learn to formulate stuff in your head quicker. But and then they were talking about neopronouns and xenogenders, which exist outside of gender binary, and these were actually kind of cool. Like the one example they mentioned was like pup self. I mean, that's. I'm kind of. Now I know this is not nearly the same thing, but it does remind me a little bit of like how people kind of like some of the puns like the furry and I guess a little bit the brony community use, where they say like every fur, or they just start replacing things like on the other hand, on the other paw. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something the Therian community do, but like it does give me that kind of thing. You could say like every wolf. I don't know. Positive support helps a lot was one of their points, and this is true for a lot of things. Just having support. This is what breaks a lot of people, in my opinion. You need a little bit of positive support in your life. Now they mentioned therapists. If you find therapists who encourage self-expression, I don't see therapists anymore because I don't feel like I need them, and B, I've never had a good experience with one, and I mean ever. But also just friends who support you, and this is where I'm really good. Thankfully I have some great people behind my back, namely my furry family, and I think some of the friends I've made at this convention. Shout out to you guys. You've been real cool, and I'm really hoping to, you know, stay attached. I want to be involved in this community. I want to take another step and get more involved than I already am. Because I mean, I'm taking the first step, but I want to take more. And then, of course, we had the big bad con closing, which as soon as we started, everybody started howling. Like, there's a whole video I've already uploaded, but everybody was howling to the point where Discord just completely broke. And I think somebody made the point that it sounded like an underwater garbage disposal. And you know what? I think they're kind of right. Maybe not entirely, but I do understand where they're coming from and what they mean. But it was really cool, like, cause I saw like Aristotin and Peregrine, who I talked with yesterday morning. They've been really cool. I saw Goosh from last night. Me and him were just watching random YouTube stuff, just us two in the voice chat last night. It was a lot of fun. I got to show him some cool stuff. And then once all the howling stopped down, they announced the winners of the raffle. Unfortunately, I was not one of them. I was kind of hoping, but you know, stuff happens. It's the luck of the draw. Hopefully, I'll get a con badge next year. Hopefully, they won't make them a raffle or something. But after something that I've been asking for, and I think some other people have been asking for obsessively, is an off-season Discord. No, I mentioned this yesterday. I mentioned this yesterday's video. This community this convention has managed to pull so many different parts of the community together into just one area that the diversity has been absolutely amazing. And I didn't want to lose that until the convention next year, and that's even assuming everybody would show up. So, me and many other people were saying make an off-season Discord, and they announced it. It's called Othercon. I will put the link in the description for people who want to get involved with it. But yeah, so they are going to be archiving the old Discord. They're going to have it open tomorrow, and then after that, they're going to be closing it and archiving it, which I'm also really excited because there was a lot of good discussions, a lot of good links that were shared around, and being able to just archive it and go back and look through, you know, all of it at any time, that's going to be really helpful going forward. I didn't have to rush and worry about having to download all this important info that I might, you know, use in the future. So that was honestly, I think, the best decision that could have come out of it. And what they'll probably do is make new Discords for the new cons in the future, so you'll be able to see the Discord for this year, etc. And as soon as they linked it, it broke. So many people joined immediately that the welcome message just broke. They talked a lot about next year. I'll probably make a separate video where I just go over all the announcements they made about the next con and what I think, my thoughts on them. But other than that, the voice channel did branch into the feedback panel, and yeah, the con. I mean, there were a few other things like the Jurassic Park watch party, which I wanted to go see, but I couldn't figure out how to get involved with it, how to see any of it, so I kind of just let it go. And then there was the final art stream by Infected. I did top in a little bit for that, and that's it. The con is now officially over, and were it not for Otherconnect, I think the PCD would be hitting really hard right now. The post-con depression would be hitting me like a sack of bricks to the face. And thankfully, I think the Otherconnect is going to help alleviate that dramatically. Because usually it's like, I'm going to meet all these cool people, but I don't always want to ruin the convention experience by saying, even in real life conventions, by just trying to get in contact, like hey, can I get your thing? And real life conventions a little bit different, but it was a little bit more relaxed here, and you know, I got to spend more time having fun rather than, oh hey, can I get your contact information so we can chat later, and making sure to hit them out. This same group is still going to be here, and even more people are probably going to flood in. I'm really excited. I said I'm gonna link the thing below. That is, if I can link it. I don't know if I can. Probably. But anyway, guys, this convention has been astounding. I do have a lot I want to talk about for like next year and the future, but other than that, I think that's going to be it for this video. So subscribe if you're interested in seeing what I do video-wise in this community. I don't have like a clear direction yet. It'll probably be a little bit of everything, but if you guys have ideas, if you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments, because I can handle just about anything, but it's like I have this whole community and I just don't know what to talk about. I could be informative, but there are other people that do that. I could just kind of like give my own story, but I don't want to come off as pretentious, or and I want to focus on the community as a whole, like the furry community. Like I talk about the history and I discuss things. I talk about me a little bit, but not that much, because I think the community is more interesting as a whole rather than, you know, just me. I could look into the history. I'm going to make a history video at some point, which is just a long, specific history video. I don't know how long it'll be. It depends on how long Therian history is. It'll probably be a big one, but other than that, everybody, I hope you all have a good time. If you want to, hit me up in the Other Connect Discord. I have DMs open. You can chat with me anytime. So I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.